Hello traders, today I'm going to give you a massive advantage in futures markets with sharing a few things that do happen that you do need to be aware of. If you want a much more in-depth resource on all of this, I'm going to attach my course in the link below, which is going to give you a ton of practice, ton of examples, and tons of ways you can use this to your advantage. But with everything that I show you in this video, it's all free. You can get every single part of this for free if you want. And if you want to get more information, then you can pay for my course. Okay, let's go into signs of spoofing. There are three kinds of spoofing that we are going to talk about. I'm going to show you guys, and then we're going to show you live. The reason I want to focus on this is order depth and liquidity, meaning limit orders. It can be very tough because a lot of people come to me and they say, is it better if, if the bids are larger than the offers, meaning if more limit buys are here than limit sells, does that mean that the market's going to rise? And the answer that everyone hates to hear is it depends. People who are beginners hate those two words, it depends, but it's the truth. Just because there are more buyers than sellers, it does not mean that the market will rise. And we're going to go over how we can diagnose certain patterns that do lead to likely market rise or likely market falls. So let's do it. There are three kinds of spoof walls. There's passive, there are aggressive, and then there's a third type of spoof wall where you're spoofing to fill. Don't worry, I'm going to walk through each one of them in depth. Passive spoof wall is really common. You're going to see it almost everywhere, and it's kind of hard to discern if they're even spoofing. What a passive spoof wall basically is when someone constantly shifts, cancels, or places limit orders away from price. Now, if any of these orders are filled, all the orders are canceled or shifted farther away because these orders are not meant to be filled. Now, also, everything that I'm talking about is typically not legal in regulated markets, but in crypto, really all of this can go. All this is probably fine, unless the exchange says not, which, whatever. But moving on, orders look as if they're solely placed to apply a large amount of pressure. You see just a bunch of bids just pop out of nowhere, and they're not even close to price. Why do you think that those bids are there? Do you really think that someone really wants to fill all their buy walls at that exact designated price? And if they keep moving those bids, do you really think that they're constantly changing their mind about where to get filled? More likely not, it's either a market maker, but more likely than a market maker, guys, it's probably just a spoofer who's trying to apply buy pressure. This is really, really common. Here are just a bunch of examples, a really good example. I want you to take a look at where it says 0.169, 0.1692. Do you see all of the offers right up there that were added? It happened at about 1601. So if you go to the x-axis and look at 1601, look at just all of those offers put in. This is on Binance Futures, and this is currently on a coin that has risen 30% in the last 24 hours. Now you can see all those sell walls, immediately price just went right down. Now, do we really think that someone wanted to get filled there? Probably not. What's happening is they're putting those sell walls on to make price lower, basically. Now, why are they going to make price lower? Are they looking to buy lower, or are they just short and want to, cover lower? We don't know. But all we do know is that they are having an effect and that this is 99% chance passive spoofing. All right, next. This one is probably the most fun. This is momentum ignition, also known as a really aggressive spoofing. This is where you're not shifting orders toward price, where you're not just trying to put a bunch of size on to scare people into buying or scare people into selling. You're actually shifting orders into price. What that means is imagine that there's a massive bid or series of bids, that you see heavy market buying on the offers, i.e. the limit sell orders, and you see these bids being put on the offers. What do I mean by that? Typically we have, on a static market, we have the offers here, sell orders, and the buy orders here. Sometimes a guy will come along, place a very large bid order that's like right here that will buy all of these offers, and then we'll place the best bid here. Then the offers are here, and then he puts it here, and then it keeps rising. It's incredibly risky. It's incredibly aggressive for an algo to do this. It's really risky because if you keep raising that bid, you're buying at worse and worse prices, and when you finally get filled for all your liquidity, you're probably going to lose a lot of money because it's going to, tank. Same with sellers. If a large person who's putting on a series of large offers, you will see, did I say large person? I meant large volume trader. If a large volume trader puts on a bunch of offers, you're going to see heavy market selling, offers being placed into bids to depress price. Now, if any of these spoof orders are filled, how this aggression is different than the passive spoof orders, if these spoof orders are filled, the order just persists. The order just continues to clamp down price. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes this is someone really trying to get out of a losing position or a winning position even. But more often than not, I actually find open interest rising when this happens. What does that mean? That means that someone is entering the market like this. Why would you want to enter the market like this? Because you're entering with maximum aggression, pushing price really, really rapidly to encourage other people to, trade with you, and then filling the other side at a better price. What I mean by that is if I put on just, not me, but if someone puts on a bunch of sell orders and short, you're going to encourage other people to sell, and then you can buy lower. Okay. These orders apply the highest amount of pressure you can ever see in crypto. I don't think that they're within limit orders and market orders. This is far more aggressive than just a fat, large market seller, a large market buy, because that happens, then price goes back to equilibrium a lot. This is incredibly aggressive. It's typically used to target retail stop losses liquidations, i.e. retail liquidity. Fabricate momentum, this is probably what it's most common for. Fabricated momentum is what I just said. If we put on, a lot of bids and are just aggressively raising those bids, then it's fabricated buying momentum. It's fabricated because at any moment, that one buyer who decided to put on that momentum could cancel all their orders, and then the market would probably fall. But traders who don't really know what they're doing are probably going to be buying, but they're probably just buying the guy's sell orders that he put higher as he applies buy momentum. Or, like I just said, or to fill other orders on the other side of the spoof. Now, what you're probably looking forward to is seeing an example of this. This was a really good example of it. I want you to look on the far left screen of 15:59:05. You can't really see it because I can do this to make it a little bit easier for you guys. Perfect. At about 15:59:05, what we see is a few things take place that you need to pay attention to. Now, remember that orange means that there is a large order. It could be a buy order, it could be a sell order. It all depends on if it's above or below price. Notice that the bid at 0.1666 is canceled. At the same exact time that the bid is canceled, we see a very aggressive sell wall at 0.168 come up, a bunch of sell orders, and then price immediately falls on rapid market selling. This is incredibly aggressive because what you're basically seeing is someone who pulled their buying liquidity and then put on a large sell order, depressing the price, and you can see that they lowered their sell order 2 more times. They then lowered it to 0.1674. They then lowered it again to 0.1669. If you see those 3 times that kind of block of orange sell orders were lowered. And then it happened again at 15:59:35 timestamp. You can see that on the axis, where at the price of 0.1671, we see large sell orders, limit sell orders, that are placed directly on price, directly next to where price really is. And that's aggressively spoofing the market lower. And I think the best example of aggressive momentum ignition happens at 15:59:45. You see that very large sell order that's just clamping price down as low as it can possibly go. And then the minute it's pulled, a buyer comes in and it goes right back up. That is what aggressive spoofing looks like, where you have large limit orders near price, pushing price one way, accompanied by market orders fitting that direction. In this case, limit sells, i.e. offers, and market sells. Now I think for, maybe the most complicated one, I don't know. This one is probably the second most common. If I was to tell you, what should you focus on right now when you go to Bookmap? The most important is passive spoofing because it's the most common. The second, it would definitely be spoofing to fill because it's the second most common. The least common is this guy. This can happen, the momentum ignition in aggressive spoof walls, but the reason it doesn't happen that often is because you need a lot of money for it, and the risk is astronomically high if you're opening a position. Really, really high. Because if you keep doing this right near price and a large buyer comes in while you're trying to spoof the market lower by shorting, you could get liquidated on the spot. Because someone could buy up all your selling liquidity and then just buy the market up until you get liquidated. So it's really risky. This one is less risky and incredibly effective for algos. something you need to watch out for. This is spoofing to fill. Essentially what this is applying a band-aid to a market, a very short-term band-aid. What an algo will do is they're going to place bids to hold price up or place offers to hold price down. What does that look like? It looks like this. I have never seen in my life a more textbooked version of spoofing to fill. This is on FTX, and this could not be more textbook spoofing. Like, could not be more textbook. Look what happens here. Far left side, we see all these very large buy orders. And then if you really look on the picture, you can see some market sells that are hitting the market about 76.3 at about the timestamp of 1604.45. People are selling. Even though there is a lot of buying liquidity, there's a lot of limit buy orders, right? Then, all of a sudden, every single limit buy order that's large gets canceled. Golly gee, I wonder why. What was happening is basically this was a band-aid to the market. Someone put all these buy orders either to close a long position or to enter into a short position. And it's genius, really, really high level, smart, rapid profit, very smart stuff to do. I mean, it's illegal in the stock market, but it's effective. It's very effective. You can see that the market eventually, I mean, within like 60 seconds, went from 76.3 down to like 75.9. I counted how many market sells there were, and it was about, I think, $100,000 worth. So my thought is, if this was a guy, okay, that's a market alert. If this was a guy who shorted with 100K at 76.3, and then the market falls like 1%, he immediately made like $1,000, like immediately. And you can see that there were actually large buys near the bottom of that chart, potentially signifying that this guy closed out, which is a full spoof. Placing large fake bid orders that you don't want to get filled, selling liquidity above, canceling those bid orders, waiting for price to go way down, then closing your short within like 60 seconds. That's like textbook spoofing. And you can see it right here. I don't think I have to describe this. I think this is incredibly straightforward, this kind of like thing. It just depends on if someone's spoofing to fill offers that you just saw. What that guy was doing was spoofing to fill sell orders. He was trying to get people to buy his tiny sell orders that you couldn't really see, and also he was market selling, trying to sell as much as he possibly could before he rips off the band-aid and, you know, rips away the limit buy orders. That is just a quick demonstration of what to, you know, of what to focus on. Now, if this allows me, what I want to do is show you guys bookmap. Oh, perfect. I think the sizing is going to be really off, so what I'm going to do is, yeah, I'm going to do that. So this is actually live, what you're seeing right now. And that is perfect. Awesome. Oh, I actually got it to look pretty good. Just can't put my camera in it, I guess. So we're looking at BLZ on Binance Futures, near USDT on Binance Futures, and we're looking at AVAX. The most spoofing I've seen has been on this guy, and then this guy, and then this guy the least. This one has so much spoofing that it's kind of fun to look at. I can already see, you know, some obvious spoofs that we could have taken advantage of. Now, of the three kinds of spoofing, I'm going to quiz you guys. What kind of spoof was this right here? Right there. What's going on? What's happening here? Market's going down. This order pops up. This order pops up. What's happening here? I'll give you guys 3 seconds, and then I will give the answer. This is passive spoofing. This is someone who's just trying to get the price a little bit lower by putting a little bit more supply, i.e., you know, putting some offers up. And it worked. The very second that they did this, there was a sell-off and the price went lower. This right here and this right here is passive, but it works. Now, what is this? What kind of spoofing is that you're seeing? What is someone trying to do? This is aggressive spoofing, also known as momentum ignition. Basically what happened was not only did they use passive, they also went very aggressive to depress the price. They put on a large limit sell order, ignited some selling, then just put that limit sell order right there around the best offer, at the best offer, and then eventually right here. And they were just trying to put on as much pressure as they possibly could on the price, but eventually they failed and smart buyers came right in because they saw this was obviously, you know, a spoofer. And the market went up. But that was passive. that was passive spoofing, and then this was aggressive momentum ignition. The best way to take advantage of this probably would have been to be one of these guys. Is if you think that a spoofer's aggressive sell wall is probably going to fall, then buying the spoofer's sell wall is probably quite smart because you're likely going to be buying the bottom. Okay. When you see passive spoofing, weirdly enough, if you can be if you could be the first seller, then it's probably not a terrible idea. I don't want to endorse that, but a lot of times when people put on large walls, price does tend to move away from them. So if you were the guy who sold like here at 16478 and then bought back at like 16434, that would have been quite good. Let's see if I can see any spoofing to fill. Usually that's the second most common that we see, where someone rips out orders. Probably on AVAX, we can probably see it quite quickly. On the 30-minute, what do we see here? Well, these are obviously buy spoofs. Why do I say that? Well, if you look at these orders right here, you can see that this guy does not want to get filled. It's quite obvious that he just is trying to push price higher. Look, all these orders are canceled and placed lower because he just doesn't want his buy orders filled. And then you can see that he raises his buy orders a little bit because he wants price to rise, but it looks like he's not really doing a great job. This kind of passive spoofing isn't really working, and it looks like the market is selling off. And that's why his orders are being placed lower, because this is clearly a spoofer. I think that in all likelihood, this market will probably fall. Why do I say that? Well, if this guy's really intent on pushing the market higher, that could mean because he's trying to sell, actually. And if he's trying to sell, then we might want to sell before he sells. So finally, I'll close the video with near USDT on Binance Futures. This one, I think I don't really have much to say. Nothing too interesting. Yeah, nothing really like super mind-boggling or insightful to say about this. This is just really straightforward. And really there's like nothing to get out of that. BLZ though, USDT on Binance Futures, you got to check that out. There's such obvious spoofing action that we can take advantage of. I mean, it's phenomenal, really. Like, this is the final example I'm going to give because I think it's quite good. This is clearly spoofing to fill. Large limit sell orders being placed right around here. Large limit sell orders being placed. And then this guy is buying as much as he probably possibly could. Buying. Large limit sells. And then after, he cancels his limit sells and probably sells higher. So he's able to buy low, sell high just by spoofing the market lower and then ripping it out. All right, that's going to do it for my little video on spoofing. Don't forget to check for these 3 kinds of spoofing. Remember, passive, aggressive, and spoofing to fill. Watch order flow for about an hour or check out my course. And eventually, I think you're going to begin to really see these. And then once you begin to really see them, you can then trade on them when you feel confident with proper risk management. Happy trading, and I wish all of you the best.